Yeah.
Just perform.
I mean, it's kind of simple. I mean, you just figure out your specific plan, like we talk about on the show a lot.
Yeah.
The whole like, I'm supposed to do this because everyone else is doing it kind of thing isn't recommended. Like Travis's path. Good luck following Travis's path, you know. But he somehow made it here, and he's doing it his way. I wouldn't have told him to go be in a beach volleyball movie after the most grueling year of his career, but that's his thing, and it's probably something he's definitely never going to regret. So.
Right.
And if anyone could do it, it's Travis.
Well, and like the way you get reps, right? Like you're going to play in Laguna Beach Open. You play in the small ones to work yourself up to bigger ones, and there's a strategy to it. So just like put thought into it, and understand what your specific goal is, what you want to get out of it, and then find the partnership. That's like kind of the biggest thing. Find the partnership that will get you to that goal, and it's not always like, okay, on paper we're going to be the best team, so I have to play this person. Like your sanity comes into play too sometimes. You know, like do you guys work together? Is this person getting by off all talent, and they're you know, not maximizing their potential, and that's going to just eat away at your soul as their partner, whereas someone might not be as good, but they're just going to put in the work and make you better, you know. So I just think the journey is different for everybody. Obviously, most of our goals is just to see how great we can be at this sport, but you just got to go for it.
I think for you, Sav, like, that's almost an unfair question to ask of you, because like you played 3 events this year. You beat Lily and Larissa in your first one. You got, what, a 7th in Atlanta?
Yeah.
In your first AVP, like that's a hell of a start. Yeah. And then you got pulled up again by Zana in the second one. And then, so you were 2 for 3. You played great in the AVP Next Golds. So I think like for you to overcome the hump, like you overcame like 6 of them in your first year. Like not many people qualify once in their first year, let alone twice, let alone beating one of the best teams in the world in their first main draw match.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And then getting the 7th. Like, you had a hell of a season.
And don't ignore, like, the signs here. Like, how were you in high school? How are you in college? How are you starting your pro career? If you're the best at every level, don't, like, downplay that you can't be the best at the next. You know, like, expect that. And be like, okay, well, I'm here, so this is where I'm at. Like, you know, I feel like some people come in and they're like, oh, I don't know if I belong here. Or like, if you're in the tent, you
that
belong,
was me in the players'
and you
tent.
can look across. Yeah, but like, just don't let it. Obviously, being humble and whatnot, and like having that beginner's mindset is great, but don't let it affect your play. Like, go out to
100%.
take over and just dominate, because
Yeah.
it can happen quick.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I feel like I'm as good as these people. Let's see. And then I went out and beat them, and I was fortunate to pick up a veteran early, but like it can happen like that, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm here. Now this is the new norm.
That's why I'm trying to like keep. I mean, I know we're going in off season, but like this is kind of the time where all these partner switches are happening, and I'm like, if one of these people picks me up like with points, I can assure you, like I will do everything in my power to be the best player I can be, like that. And so I think that's kind of the mindset that I have to have, and I have to just be really scrappy going into this whole thing. I'm hoping that, you know, qualifying or beating these big teams like helps with my case, but I also don't have points. I don't have much experience, but I will work. You know, it's there's always different things. So yeah, it was like going into the players' tent. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. Like I was so scared. Me and Megan Kraft, and she's been in, I think she's in 1 or maybe 2 other AVPs before that one.
Handful, yeah.
And we had our game against Sarah and Kelly was at like 3:30. And so we're like sitting we got breakfast at like 9. We slept in a little bit. We also didn't have a coach. We have no one telling us what to do. We have no idea what to do. Right. We're sitting in our room. It's like 11 o'clock. We're like, okay, let's just go. Let's just go to the facility. Let's go sit in the players' room, because we're just so excited to go play. Yeah. And there is a part of it where you're like, wow, I'm sitting here next to Phil and Jake and Taylor. I'm like, dude, get me out of here. I don't belong here. And then April and Alex walk in. I'm like, oh my gosh, fangirling. I want to take a selfie. Like, but then you do it again. And you're like, okay, like maybe I do belong here. And then they ask you to train, and like just like your guys' advice to me, like my first podcast was like, just be the most available player. What's your little phrase you have? It's like
best ability is
yes, that's yours. That's yours.
Yep.
Yep. That's
stole
like
it.
from.
We throw it around a lot.
That's a try original.
It's a football player. That's what football players do because they're always hurt.
Yeah.
Or say.
Yeah. Best advice, because that's just, and I am from San Diego, like probably going to move up here, probably not right now, but in the, in 2022 when things are picking up again. But, I'm getting up at 4 a.m, coming here for like a 7:30 practice because people have work to do, but that's, that's just how it is. So, yeah, it's exciting. That was good advice, though.
It was
good answer to the question.
It's funny because my brother asked me. My older brother came out to Manhattan. He always tries to come out to like one
Tyler?
beach tournament. Yeah.
He will ask his question.
Yeah, and so now he's like a beach volley like junkie, and so he came out and he watched us. We made it to the final round, lost in the third set to Jake Landau and Lev Prima, and then he came out and watched like all the main draw matches because he like loves Andy Benish because Andy came on a Yosemite trip with me and Tyler and Delaney one year, and like loves watching you, and he was like, what do you think is holding you back? Because like I've watched, and Tyler, he's watched like sports like our whole life. Like he kind of he picks up sports and strategy and stuff. He's like, I watch you play and I watch like everyone else play, and it doesn't seem that different. He's like, what do you think's holding you back? And he compared me to like a 4A player in baseball, like the guy who's like a little above AAA, but not quite in the majors. You're just stuck in that limbo.
Yeah.
And he was like, why do you think that you're the 4A player right now? And I think just like the biggest difference between like a you and say an Andy is the gap between ceiling and floor is so small for someone like you, where when you're playing terrible, you're at a world-class level.
Yeah.
Versus like if Andy gets in a slump, he's down to like a upper qualifier level.
Yeah.
And I think the closer you can get that gap between your peak and your cellar, I think that's how you sustain greatness, and that's why you see the same teams in AVPs every year.
Point.
Because like your dip is high. Katie Spieler loves saying you got to keep your highs high and your lows high.
Yes.
And like qualifier players, like your lows are just shitty.
Yeah. I think that's an extremely good point. And actually, you're making me remember back on like my early days of my career where I started having that self-awareness of okay, I'm in the slump. But now it's like a new challenge. I'm like, okay, how high can I make this low?
Yeah.
That's like the goal there. And then you start not getting into the slump and like, once you start practicing it, you're not getting into this slump, this low where you're like, great, now I'm just going to suck for the rest of the match. You're like, okay, here we go. How quick can I get out?
Yeah.
Like it's an opportunity having that like more of a positive, like, I make mistakes. I get in slumps. It's what it just happens in sport.
Yeah.
I don't know who doesn't.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh man, I'm the one guy that's getting into a slump. You kind of tell yourself that somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is going to be embarrassing. It's like, no, we all get in slumps. I'm in one right now. How quick can I get out of it? But having that like positive mindset and then that confidence, and then you do get out of it, and then you do it again and you do it again. Now the slumps come and you're just like, nah, you ain't shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah.
And then you learn things to like teach yourself how to come out of it. Like, well, I'm sucking right now, and they have this vibe to them, this energy, and they're talking to me.
Yeah.
And I'm down. Like, I don't want to engage in that, but I'm losing. So what do I have to lose
Exactly.
now?
Yeah.
I'm in a slump. I'm going to come engage back with them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're playing well, so they can only lose here.
Right.
Yep.
Whereas like when I'm playing well, I'm not going to let them take me out of mine.
Right.
So it's like you start learning little tricks for yourself. Or like, whatever, little meditative things like, okay, bring myself back to feel the wind. Like, okay, I didn't even realize it was windy. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
But then that kind of like brings you back, or like broadening your vision or whatever.
Yeah.
You start learning tricks.
Whatever works for you.
But that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that there was a point in my career where I had to like really like learn and take that on as a challenge to like make my lows high.
And that's how you go from down 16-12 in the Manhattan semifinals to winning the Manhattan Open.
That's exactly what I did. And they opened the door for that.
Yeah.
They came over. They were playing good. It was like, God, we just can't crack them. And then they let themselves. They started smiling, came over, slapped Trevor on the butt. So they felt comfortable enough to start talking to us because we always talk. Trevor's always talking. So it's like, okay, now we can talk because we got a big lead. And then I was like, too soon. And I started saying that. and like using that, and I think it planted a seed in their head. They're like, oh, was it too soon? And then 1 block, like, oh, now they're feeling it. 2 blocks, now they're really feeling
That
it.
was the
3,
best
now they're
ever.
done. Now they're done, and it's gonna hurt so much worse because they were winning. But that's what that was. That we engaged. Like I went hard engaging and talking for that specific moment because we were in a slump and whatnot. Like I had chosen to do it at that point. And then once momentum came back, like the fans, everyone's like, we think they're coming back. Then I like went into my zone.
It's
like I don't need to talk anymore.
Yeah.
Talking's done.
That's how it's done.
Yeah.
I remember looking. They posted that like all your blocks on the AVP Instagram, and I remember like
I felt bad.
you did. Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's too soon.
It is too
It was a
soon.
little
So
soon.
bad. That's one in the cut for his camera there.
Yeah. No,
Because
I
the camera's
remember.
my boy, so it was after the tournament, I'm like, I don't even want him to have to deal with that. Because I know how hard it would be on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal. But I remember looking at that, and because I watched the game, and then they showed all that, and I was like, oh my! I just rewatched it so many times. I'm like, that's just it's the
epic.
coolest thing ever. It was
Yeah.
so cool.